world stands on the edge of something that feels both familiar and terrifying. It's not missiles yet, but the sides are already drawn. Many believe World War III will begin with bombs, but in truth, it's already begun with alliances, trade wars, and secret strategies shaping the future of our planet. Today, the world is divided not just by borders, but by power blocks quietly preparing for what could be the next great conflict. To understand how close we really are to World War III, we must first look at the forces moving behind the curtain. For decades, the United States and its allies have led what's called the Western Order. It's built on NATO, the dollar, and the promise that democracy would spread peace. But in recent years, cracks have formed. The wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Ukraine have drained the West's confidence, while new alliances have begun to rise. BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the strengthening partnership between Russia and China. These are not random friendships. They are calculated moves designed to challenge the U.S. lead world. BRICS as Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa was once just an economic idea. Now, it's a symbol of resistance against Western dominance. Together, they control massive natural resources, huge populations, and a growing share of the global economy. And now they're talking about creating their own currency, one that could weaken the US dollar. The same way America once weakened Britain's pound a century ago. Meanwhile, China is building more than skyscrapers. It's building influence through the Belt and Road Initiative. It has spread its reach across Asia, Africa, and even parts of Europe. Ports, railways, and highways are being funded by Chinese loans, giving Beijing quiet control over key global trade routes. The West calls it debt diplomacy, but China calls it development. Then there's Russia. After invading Ukraine, Moscow has found itself cut off from the West, but closer than ever to the East. Its trade with China has exploded. Its oil now flows to India, and its military partnerships are expanding. Every sanction pushed Russia further into the arms of its Eastern allies. What started as punishment became the foundation for a new alliance. But it's not just East versus West anymore. In the Middle East, new lines are forming. Iran has joined the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and is strengthening military ties with Russia and China. Saudi Arabia, once America's closest partner in the region, is now exploring deals with BRICS and even buying weapons from China. These moves are small on their own, but together they signal something massive: a shift in loyalty, power, and control. Africa, too, is no longer just a battleground for aid or influence. China, Russia, and even Turkey are now active players. From mining contracts to military bases, Africa has become the chessboard where global powers compete for the world's last untapped resources. Every investment, every handshake, every base built is part of a quiet preparation for the day diplomacy fails. The world is arming again. The United States has strengthened its military alliances in Asia with Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines, increasing their defense budgets. NATO has expanded to include Finland and Sweden, placing Western troops closer to Russia's border than ever before. China is testing hypersonic missiles, the kind that could strike targets before radar even detects them. North Korea is launching more rockets, reminding everyone that its nuclear arsenal isn't just for show. And in the background, artificial intelligence and cyber warfare are becoming the new atomic bomb tools capable of collapsing economies or shutting down entire nations without firing a single bullet. These tensions aren't just about warfare, about control of the future. The next global conflict won't only be fought on battlefields. It will be fought over data, energy, trade, and ideology. The US wants to maintain the system it built, one based on democracy and free markets. China wants to reshape that system to reflect its power. Russia wants revenge for the humiliation it felt after the Cold War. And smaller nations, Iran, Turkey, Brazil, want to carve out their own independence from both sides. Each nation has its reasons. Each alliance has its secrets. And together, they're rebuilding the framework for a potential World War III, one that might not begin with a declaration, but with a misstep, a cyberattack, or an accident no one intended. Consider Taiwan. It's a small island, but it's home to the world's most advanced microchip factories, the beating heart of modern technology. China claims it as its own. The US has promised to defend it. A single spark in the Taiwan Strait could drag the world's biggest militaries into conflict. Or look at the South China Sea, where Chinese warships and American destroyers cross paths daily, each waiting for the other to make a mistake. Or the Arctic now melting and opening new trade routes that Russia and NATO are racing to control. Every region on Earth has become a pressure point. The more these alliances grow, the tighter the global web becomes. And the tighter it gets, the easier it is for one wrong move to set everything ablaze. But why is this happening now? The short answer: power shifts. The world that emerged after World War II was designed for a time when the US was untouchable. Today, that's no longer true. The rise of Asia, the fall of Western influence, and the global demand for independence have created a new balance, one that doesn't revolve around a single superpower. America still has the largest military, but China's economy is catching up fast. Russia still has nuclear weapons, but its economy depends on the East. Europe still has money and influence, but it's divided and struggling with internal crises. The power once centralized in Washington, London, and Brussels is now scattered across Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, and beyond. In the shadows, intelligence agencies warn that cyberattacks and disinformation campaigns are softening targets long before real conflicts begin. TikTok, satellites, 5G networks, and AI tools have all become weapons in a silent global standoff. The new battlefield isn't just land, air, or sea. It's your screen, your data, your beliefs. And that's the most frightening part. People might never see World War III coming because it may not look like the wars of the past. It won't be endless trenches or bombs falling from the sky. It might begin with a sudden blackout, a market crash, or the collapse of communication systems across continents. It might start quietly with confusion instead of explosions. And by the time the world realizes what's happening, the alliances will already be locked, and the old order will already be gone. Still, it's not too late. History shows that when nations see the brink, they sometimes step back. The Cold War came close many times but never turned hot. Dialogue, diplomacy, and shared interests kept humanity alive. The same could happen again if leaders remember that wars today would end not in victory but extinction. Because in the age of nuclear weapons, AI drones, and interconnected economies, a third world war wouldn't have winners, only survivors. Yet, the signs remain. The speeches, the sanctions, the military drills, the propaganda, they all point toward a global system quietly preparing for impact. The truth about global alliances is that they're no longer just about friendship or defense. They're about survival. Every country is choosing a side because neutrality may not be an option when the world divides again. And as ordinary people go about their daily lives, the next chapter of history is already being written in war rooms, in trade agreements, in digital networks, connecting every corner of the earth. So the question isn't if the world is preparing for World War III. The question is, when it begins, will we even know? Because by then, it might not be missiles that fall. First, it could be the truth. Chach. P.T. can make